Good morning, and welcome to your personalized deep dive for April 16th, 2025.
Morning.
You've given us quite a collection of insights today. We've got stuff covering Pokemon, Lorcana, Magic, The Gathering, even a bit of One Piece.
Yeah, a real mix across the TCG world.
So our mission today is to kind of sift through all that, highlight what's really relevant, what's interesting for you, the learner, get you that knowledge quickly without feeling overwhelmed.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
Well, let's jump right in. A huge chunk of the discussion seems to be around Pokemon's upcoming Destined Rivals set.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely generating a lot of anticipation. It's all over the place.
Absolutely. Loads of sources talking about its potential impact, the excitement's building. But there's also this recurring theme, right? A need for caution.
Yeah, especially around those high pre-sale prices people are seeing.
Exactly.
Well, it's a critical point, isn't it? That initial excitement, for chase cards like the Rockets, Moltres, EXCR. Combine that with maybe lower initial print runs, and you get this sort of artificial scarcity thing happening in the pre-sale market.
Right, creates a bubble, almost.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But then, once the set's actually out, widely available, more supply hits, those prices often come back down.
So the message is, market's not crashing, but maybe don't get too carried away by those early numbers.
Exactly. Wise not to let the hype dictate your buying too much right at the start.
It's that classic thing, isn't it? Early hype potentially leads to, buyer's remorse later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, some sources are already looking back, mentioning Prismatic as maybe being undervalued right now.
Yeah, that comparison's interesting. It brings up, how market perception works. Recency bias is huge.
The newest shiny toy gets all the attention.
Right, but value retention, that's the longer game. A set like Prismatic, maybe it has strong fundamentals, good playable cards, cool art.
Stuff that holds up over time.
Exactly. It might appreciate more steadily, even if it didn't have that massive initial hype burst like Destined Rivals seems to be having.
Also, one source pointed out something a bit unusual. Things seem kind of quiet in the online communities.
Oh, how so?
Like fewer complaints, fewer crazy stories than usual. Some are reading that as maybe the market's slowing down a bit or just less intense hype.
Huh. That quieter online chatter is intriguing. Could be the market finding its feet, maybe?
Yeah.
Or collectors just being a bit more, reserved this time around.
It could be anything.
It's subtle, but definitely something to keep an eye on, big picture-wise.
On the flip side, though, the art reveals for Destined Rivals are definitely sparking excitement, especially the Team Rocket stuff.
Oh, yeah, the nostalgia factor there is huge.
That Rocket's Moltres EXR looks amazing, and Team Rocket's Mewtwo EXR is getting talked about a lot, too, although opinions seem a bit divided there, don't they?
Yeah, the Moltres is almost universally loved. Stunning artwork, very dynamic. But the Mewtwo SR, it's more polarizing. Some find it really powerful, evocative. Others feel, like it doesn't quite capture Mewtwo's imposing presence.
Yeah, I saw some comments like that. Shows how subjective art is, I guess.
Definitely, even within the TCG community.
And we're seeing other cool Team Rocket nods, too, like Crobat and those trainer cards, Ariana and Giovanni.
Oh, with the grunts in the background.
Those little details are great. The overall vibe seems to be that Destined Rivals could be really, really solid, well-designed.
That inclusion of the trainer cards, especially with multiple characters, adds that narrative layer, The nostalgia it really resonates. And really, really solid suggests, a good mix of playable cards and cool collectibles.
Okay, but let's temper that enthusiasm slightly. One source was advising, don't get too carried away by the internet hype.
Right.
Saying Destined Rivals might not be the set of the year. And reminding everyone that card prices often dip after that initial rush.
That's such an important reminder. That initial buzz, it creates a temporary price spike. But if you're thinking long-term...
Patience is key.
Often, yeah. Waiting a bit after release can give you better buying opportunities.
We also got confirmation, didn't we, that Pokemon from the Marn's Pride and Steven's Resolve decks are reprints from Destined Rivals.
Yes, that's confirmed. So it links the main set directly to those side products. Helpful for planning purchases.
Good to know. And finally, on Destined Rivals, there's speculation, right? Could it become a top performer? Like up there with Evolving Skies or even older sets like Team Up?
Wow, okay. That's setting the bar high.
It really is.
That comparison definitely speaks to the potential people see, especially with the Team Rocket theme. But reaching that kind of, legendary status, that takes time.
Depends on long-term demand, playability.
Collectability, all of it. Yeah, only time will tell if it actually gets there.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Your sources also dug into broader Pokemon market trends, looking at older sets too. There's this interesting theory going around that the Scarlet and Violet era might actually run longer than previous generations.
I saw that. What might that mean, you think?
Well, the source suggested if it does last longer, the focus might stay on current sets, maybe less emphasis on big reprints of older stuff.
Ah, okay. That could definitely impact the long-term value and availability of, say, Sword and Shield era sets or even older ones. Interesting point.
And speaking of older sets, Stellar Crown came up. The idea that its prices might drop significantly.
Yeah, suggesting it might be a good time to pick up singles from that set.
Why would that be happening now, do you think?
Well, a few things, maybe. Initial hype's probably faded. More supply has likely entered the market over time.
And focus shifts to newer releases like Destined Rivals.
Exactly. These kinds of market corrections can be good opportunities for collectors trying to fill gaps or grab specific cards.
The pull rates for Surge Special Illustration Rares in Scarlet and Violet also got some attention.
Oh yeah, what about them?
There's a feeling, or maybe some data suggesting, that the initially pretty generous pull rates might have gotten tighter in the more recent sets.
Ah, okay. Well, if that's true, if SIR pull rates have decreased,
That makes them scarcer.
right, which could, drive up their long-term value and desirability for collectors. Scarcity is a huge factor in this market.
We even saw examples, right? Recent price swings with Gardevoir X Scar and Iron Valiant SAR.
Yeah, highlighting how volatile things can be. Gardevoir spiked huge, then dropped sharp.
Iron Valiant had a similar ride. Maybe less dramatic, but still up and down. What does that tell us?
It just really underlines the speculative side of the market, doesn't it? Short-term surges can be driven by hype, online trends, maybe even buyouts.
But whether those prices stick around.
Depends on genuine long-term demand, playability, things like that.
It's not all about the brand new stuff, though. The way some modern sets, like Team Up, have increased in value, that's pretty remarkable.
Over a relatively short time, too.
Yeah, the percentage gains, potentially even beating some vintage cards sometimes.
That is fascinating. It suggests, factors like strong playable cards, really appealing art, maybe a lower initial price point. They can all add up.
Team Up seems to have hit that sweet spot somehow.
It really seems like it. And remember the Surging Sparks reprint? Some predicted a market crash.
But it didn't happen.
Nope. Demand seems to have absorbed the extra supply pretty well. And interestingly, other TCGs are also seeing price increases, kind of quietly.
Like magic. The Gathering, Weiss Schwartz.
Yeah. It suggests maybe a broader positive trend in the sealed product market overall, maybe more investor interest, or just good market sentiment generally.
There's also that constant debate about reprints, isn't there?
Yeah.
How they affect long-term value.
Always. Some collectors really value that rarity, that scarcity of non-reprinted sets.
151 got mentioned as being heavily printed. Its future value is kind of an open question because of that.
Yeah, the reprint thing. It's tough. Good for players, makes cards accessible, but it can dilute that scarcity collectors often look for. 151 will be an interesting case study to watch long term.
And finally, on the broader market stuff, the idea of Pokemon cards as a kind of store of value, maybe in a weaker economy.
Right, like a safe haven asset, almost.
Especially with all the Pokemon investing channels online now. It seems some people are looking at cards as alternative assets.
Yeah, that reflects a wider trend, I think. People looking beyond just stocks and bonds. The growth of those online communities definitely points to more interest in that side of the hobby.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Some other Pokemon news bits came up. Pokemon Voices in the games and TCG.
Oh, right. Opinions seemed pretty varied on how important actual voice acting is for the Pokemon themselves.
Yeah, some like the immersion, others are fine with the classic cries.
It's just personal preference, isn't it? How fans connect with the franchise. Some want that extra layer, others are happy with tradition.
There was also that little nugget about a printing error. A card missing its rarity stamp.
And how that tiny detail can drastically boost its value.
Crazy, right? Shows how much those little nuances matter in collecting.
Absolutely. That missing stamp example, perfect illustration, turns a flaw into something unique and valuable for certain collectors.
The potential return of Mega Evolutions to the TCG also got mentioned.
Oh, that would generate some excitement.
Yeah, people seem to really like that mechanic back in the day.
Bringing back Megas would likely be very welcome. Nostalgia plus new strategies, that can definitely create buzz around a set.
And here's one that might cause some jealousy. Gem Pack Volume 2 in China.
With unique artwork, right. And no guarantee of an international release.
Exactly. Sounds frustrating for completionist collectors in the West.
Yeah, that regional exclusivity.
Yeah.
It definitely creates FOMO, fear of missing out, especially if the art is really good. Highlights the global nature of TCGs and the challenges of getting everything everywhere.
Okay, let's pivot again. Magic, the Gathering. Sources mentioned older MTG collector booster boxes shooting up in price.
Yeah, things like Phyrexia, All Will Be One, March of the Machines. Significant jumps recently.
What's driving that, do you think?
Probably a mix of things. More investor interest in sealed product, definitely. But also potentially lower print runs for collector boxes compared to draft or set boosters.
So supply dwindling over time pushes prices up.
Likely. Plus, maybe Hasbro or Wizards is deliberately making them a bit rarer now.
Adventures in the Forgotten Realms collector boosters also came up. Someone holding a lot, but planning to sell some.
Yeah, believes they won't hit the same super high long-term values as maybe some other sets. Interesting insight into, like, investor strategy.
It shows the complex calculations involved, right? Set popularity, key cards, market sentiment.
Exactly. Their decision suggests they see better potential elsewhere in sealed MTG.
The high cost of modern Magic collector boxes. That's still a sore spot for some players.
Oh, for sure. The one source made that interesting point.
That the loudest complainers might not be the biggest buyers anyway.
Yeah. Kind of a provocative thought about community dynamics. It touches on the different groups within Magic. Some are priced out or just disagree with the premium cost.
But clearly, there's a market of collectors willing to pay for them.
Yep. Dedicated collectors, enthusiasts who want the fancy versions, the lower print runs.
Okay, jumping TCGs again, Final Fantasy TCG pre-orders. Seeing very high prices.
Yeah, it seems like really strong initial demand, potential scarcity right off the bat, lots of anticipation there.
Makes sense given the video game franchise's popularity. People are curious.
Definitely. High pre-order prices signal that excitement. Initial scarcity often just ramps that up.
And Tarkir Dragonstorm. We think that's Tarkir Dragonfear. Playboxes are selling well.
Reportedly, yeah. With expectations they might climb higher later this year, possibly even influenced by the Final Fantasy launch.
An interesting potential link there, like a rising tide lifts all TCG boats.
Could be. Or just broader positive feeling towards sealed TCGs right now. Hype around one big release might boost related products.
And it's not just the secondary market. Wholesale prices for recent Magic collector boxes are apparently increasing too.
Right. That points to a more fundamental shift. Suggests Wizards might be actively managing supply, maybe trying to increase the perceived value and collectability of these premium boxes.
Makes sense from a business perspective.
Oh.
Speaking of which, let's touch on the business side of TCGs.
Okay.
Some advice surfaced about maybe not stocking tons of board games if your store is mainly TCG focused.
Yeah, because the sales volume might be low in some places. Practical advice, really. Know your audience.
Focus inventory on your core customers. Don't overstock slow movers.
Exactly. More efficient use of space, capital, everything.
The importance of online singles inventory also came up, like having a big selection on TCG Player.
Absolutely crucial now. That's where so many players and collectors go to find specific cards for decks or sets. You need that online reach.
And managing supplies, dollar binders, sleeves, emphasizing bulk orders to save on shipping.
Every little bit counts, right? Efficient supply management, getting those bulk discounts, minimizing shipping. It adds up to the bottom line.
Shopify got mentioned too for inventory management, pricing singles.
Key tool these days. Platforms like Shopify help streamline everything, inventory tracking, pricing. Essential for staying competitive.
And a nice tip about maybe finding undervalued cards by just grinding through bulk at vendor events.
Yeah, the old school approach. Still opportunities there if you're willing to put in the time sorting through boxes.
Can find hidden gems for your collection or maybe flip for a profit.
Diligence pays off sometimes.
Unfortunately, it's not all positive news. There were discussions about community issues too.
Ah, right. Like that situation with the alleged Pokémon card scammer on whatnot.
Yeah, who then retaliated online and past legal issues came up. Messy situation.
Definitely a reminder to be careful online. Due diligence, accountability. Online reputations stick around.
And the ongoing problem with scalpers and bad behavior at retail stores during restocks, still a huge frustration.
Yeah. That tension between high demand and limited supply, it keeps causing problems for genuine fans. A persistent challenge.
The role of content creators came up too. Potential for clickbait, inauthenticity.
It's just wise to be discerning, isn't it? Think critically about where you get your TCG info, who you trust online. Be aware of potential biases.
Good advice. Okay, shifting to logistics. Changes in de minimis rules for imports.
Yeah, this could impact costs for importing TCG stuff, especially from Japan.
So de minimis is that threshold,
Yeah.
right? Below which you don't pay duties or taxes.
Exactly. If those rules change, importing smaller shipments could get more expensive for businesses and maybe even individual buyers.
And the complexity of tariffs, based on country of origin, not just where it ships from, adds another wrinkle.
Yeah, definitely makes international TCG buying and selling more complex.
Okay, nearly there. Let's quickly touch on One Piece TCG.
Sure.
Official sleeves coming in July. Good news for players wanting branded gear.
Yeah, official accessories are always a good sign, shows ongoing support, lets players personalize their stuff.
And they announced a One Piece TCG Ultimate Protection Box.
Right, with sleeves, the deck box, and those EX resource-based tokens. Sounds like a neat package.
Yeah, convenient all-in-one solution.
Yep.
Generating some excitement among players.
Definitely a welcome addition for storing and protecting cards in a growing TCG like One Piece. We'd love to hear what you think about all this. Drop your thoughts and questions in the comments below.
So, as you can see, this deep dive reveals a really dynamic TCG landscape. Destined Rivals is coming, lots of Team Rocket nostalgia, but the market reaction, long-term value,
Yeah.
still up in the air.
And we saw the resilience of some older Pokemon and Magic sets, thinking about longer set cycles, even the nuts and bolts of running a TCG business.
Plus, navigating the community, online and off. What stands out most to you from all this? Are you focused on Destined Rivals, the older sets, maybe the global factors hitting prices?
It's just a snapshot, isn't it? Each area could be a whole discussion.
Absolutely. For
Right.
continued learning, maybe dig into historical performance of similar Pokemon sets. Or research reprint effects long-term.
Or even track those market trends yourself. Look at what's driving the price swings.
As a final thought, in this world, packed with info and speculation, developing your own critical thinking, your own research methods, that's probably your best asset for navigating the TCG world.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for bringing these sources to the table.
Thank you for staying with us, and don't forget to check out 151collectables.com for all your TCG needs.